Words from his grandpa were, be tough, keep going, and learn from your mistakes. Next topic is Grandpa took
Put some water on it.
Grandpa took a nap every day after lunch, and as a kid I never understood why Grandpa wanted to take a nap.
He wanted us to go home and so he could take a break.
I would beg him to skip the nap and go back to work right after he got done eating lunch, but Grandpa never gave in to my request. So I would just wait as patiently as I could for Grandpa to come out of the house from his nap. Where did you wait?
Just
Down here,
down
up there?
barn or down here. Just
Probably up on the
somewhere,
porch step.
looking up there constantly, waiting for a move on the front door.
I remember Grandpa as always having big arm muscles. I liked seeing him flex his bicep muscles. They were as hard as could be and the size of a baseball.
Wow.
With all the rocks Grandpa hauled, I can now understand why he had such impressive arm muscles. Evidence of all the rocks Grandpa hauled over the years are seen in the numerous rows of stacked rocks around today on the Schulze farm at the intersection of FM 217 and County Road 224, Coryell County, Texas. Grandpa liked having calves in the cow lots that he could feed out. I remember most times the calves were in the lot north of the house. That would be north of the windmill and the rock tank house. Danny and I would often like to get close to the calves, but they were not pets, and thus when Grandpa saw dust flying up from the cow lot, he knew those Schulze boys were messing around with his calves. One time we had a good commotion going on with the calves, and Grandpa came out of the house, looked over to the lot from the west side of the porch house. Not a word was said by Grandpa. Danny and I took cover in the barn thinking Grandpa would not know we were there, but I'm sure he knew exactly what was going on. I think Ronnie was there too.
Could be when the
particular
dust
time.
was really
Probably
stirring.
got the commotion going.
Ellis is trying to climb in. Where are those boys? Are they not watching?
I always wanted to be around when Grandpa worked calves. Once I remember Grandpa roping a calf in the cow lot, tying off the rope to a wood post, flanking the calf down, getting out his pocket knife, and cutting the bull calf, now a steer, and it was like, wow. In later years, I ended up with Grandpa's pocket knife, and I think about this story often when I see the tan handle and shiny stainless blades of Grandpa's pocket knife.
That's neat. I'm glad you have that. It's very
Use
good.
it for cutting apples.
After dipping it in alcohol.
I think you added something about the blue
That little
ointment that
bottle
you put
of blue
on.
antiseptic you put on at the end.
I don't really remember that so much. I can remember something sitting by the wood post, and that could have been what it was.
This is page 2. One of my favorite things to do with Grandpa was to go with him to the Gatesville cattle auction on Saturdays. He bought and sold cattle quite regularly, and thus many a trip was made to the sale barn. I would sit next to Grandpa at the sale barn, eagerly hoping he would bid on the next animal to enter the ring. We would get home late at night, and I would be so proud to have been to the sale barn with my Grandpa. Grandpa made Danny and me a bird trap out of wood slats that were assembled in a so-called pyramid shape with small gaps between the slats. The trap was tipped on one edge and held in position by a vertical stick that had a string connected to a piece of corn. And when birds picked at the corn, the string would release the stick and the wood trap would come down over the birds. I was fascinated by how this worked, and I was so proud.
They
Ever
really
catch
work.
anything?
I don't remember
We
it ever
had one
working.
just
One
like
of
that.
metal arcs.
A pyramid trap just like that.
Yeah, after Sherry was reading that shit. Yeah, we had some
We
of
had
them.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, just make out of little slat boards and look like a little
They
pyramid.
had Pinterest back then.
We probably had grandpas that did the same thing.
When Grandpa was working in the shop, I always wanted to be there with him so I could make sparks by holding a piece of metal against the wheel of the hand crank grinder. This was so much fun to see the sparks flying. Danny and I would swap out turning the crank because our muscles would get tired of spinning the grinder. Grandpa was one heck of a cow milker. He could fill up the bucket in what seemed like a few minutes. He would bring the milk to the house, strain it, and put it in the refrigerator. He would often just drink a warm glass of milk right after he strained it. I did not really care for the warm milk. The cream on the cooled milk would be skimmed off before drinking the milk, but seems like there would still always be clumps of cream in the milk, and I do not like the feeling in my mouth of the cream clumps, so I usually did not drink much of their milk. Plus, Mom and Dad always pasteurized our milk, and it seemed to just taste better.
Sounds like
And Mom always got all the cream off the milk prior to drinking. Occasionally we had lunch with Grandma and Grandpa. Once finished, the next step would often be for Grandpa to go to the refrigerator, pull out some of the Hershey chocolate bar. It was the big flat kind that you could break into about a dozen pieces. Same as what you said. Each one of us would get one small piece, then the bar would go back in the fridge. This was a real highlight for me when it came to lunch with Grandma and Grandpa. When summertime came, the Schulze kids always looked forward to the one night when we and the Bartle kids got to spend the night with Grandma and Grandpa. Seemed to me like getting the date for this event always hinged on whether the cotton chopping had been
Wait, can you
completed.
back it up a little bit?
Yes.
Rewind.
Wait a minute, let's listen to what he's saying.
Where do you want me to go back to?
Just start that,
Okay, when summertime came, the Schulze kids always looked forward to the one night when we and the Bartles kids got to spend the night with Grandma and Grandpa. Seemed to me like setting the date for this event always hinged on whether the cotton chopping has been completed and the oats had been combined. I guess this was a little incentive for us to get the field work completed so that we can enjoy time with our cousins. Speaking of the field work, one thing that was hard for me to grasp as a kid was Daddy and us having to pay 1/4 of the crop income to Grandma and Grandpa for rent. I remember I picked about $60 worth of cotton by hand one year, and then going with Daddy to pay my $15 rent money to Grandma and Grandpa. I was like, I did all this hard work and now I have to hand over $15. But later I realized how all this works, and I have to thank Dad for instilling this valuable principle in me.
you didn't pick any?
Oh, he was there.
Oh, I'm sure I did. Burned a little along the way too. Page 3. I remember when Grandpa passed away. It was 1966. He was admitted to the Clifton Hospital several days before he died. Grandpa had been milking a Jersey cow up to this time, and Linda and I were so proud to attempt to take over the milking duties for our grandpa while he was in the hospital. I know one day I begged Mom and Dad to take me to the hospital to see Grandpa so I could give him an update on the milking chores being completed. It was getting late and Dad said, "No, we will go to see Grandpa tomorrow night." Well, in the wee hours of the night, Grandpa closed his eyes for the last time. Mom woke me early the next morning to tell me the news. I was very sad and felt bad that I did not get to see Grandpa the night before. He definitely impacted my life, and for that I am greatly appreciative. You said the same thing.
You write tearjerkers too.